So my shoot today, pants, men's pants. Now, the client I shoot this stuff for, especially the menswear, every time we post any kind of menswear on a woman, they kind of sell out or do extremely well with sales right after. So that's my job today, is put these pants on a woman who is tiny, make them look good and make men want to buy them. So the key here is I like the downlighting on this specific person that I'm using the model, for the type of shoot that we're doing, but I have to still light the pants. And today I'm going to use 3 speed lights. That's it. I'm going to use the the A2, which is technically a speed light in a different form factor, inside the softbox with a grid. And then I'm going to use 2 A1s on either side of her low with grids on them to light up the pants. And in my head, this works. In practice, I don't know because I haven't tried it yet, obviously. But I'm going to do the setup and I'll, film some of the setup and so forth. But I want to see what happens. I want to see, if this will work. The big thing with lighting like this, and yeah, you can do it with speed lights, and it's going to be a studio shot with speed lights, high resolution, high quality, ready for print, and literally it's just speed lights. And my base, I'm going to use the 64 ISO and a moderate aperture. I'm hoping, like in my head, this is what I want. On paper versus reality are 2 different things, but if I can shoot it f4 to f5.6, I'll be thrilled. The other thing is the lens. Hang on. So I've been using the Summilux for a while, and I do love the Summilux lens. I mean, I think it's fantastic. And I have a 28 Elmerit as well. Now, this discussion obviously is on Leica lenses, but it's not specific to Leica lenses. This can go for any camera system at all, anyone that you're using. Because finding the right lenses for you, for what you shoot all the time, for what you need, it's a fun journey. And in order to not make it expensive, I highly recommend renting the lenses prior, rather than purchasing them. With Leica, it's a little different because they never go down, they always seem to go up. With, 80% of their lenses, they're just, their staple lenses don't go down in price ever. And most of the time you can get more than you paid for it when you decide to sell them. The Summilux 50 and 35, I got more for on sale than I paid. And that was a 6-month turn, that was it. Now, those lenses are fantastic. Like, there's no reason whatsoever to sell them other than I needed a higher resolution lens. The 60 megapixels stretches the Summilux in a full length situation. When you're shooting close up and, if you're shooting somebody's face or, 3/4, it's fantastic. You have plenty of resolution at 5.6. But when you pull back and you're shooting full length and you have to zoom in to, look at the clothing to retouch textures and clothing and so forth, it gets a little muddy. And that's resolution based. Now I know a lot of young amateur photographers are going to come at me in the comments like you always do, but resolution is very, very, very important on a lens. How many lines of resolution a lens has matters to the sensor. If I'm shooting 24 megapixels, they're fine. I'm not going to get better than what they can offer. But if you're shooting 16 megapixels, you need a higher resolution. And I don't mind if the resolution drops at, I got the Summilux at 1.4 because I'm usually shooting, close-ups or, headshots with a 1.4 aperture. The only reason I would do that, and I very rarely do it. But my ideal lens is the Apo Summicron, which is $9,000. But I figured, hey, I'm going to try the Summilux because it gives me the best of both worlds. If I have the resolution at 5.6 and I drop it down to 1.4 and I get that, blurry backgrounds and artistic kind of look, the Leica look or glow, whatever, I'm going to be really happy. And so far, it's given me just that. I've used this shot professionally on 2 shoots twice, and the results have been really, really good. And like I said, this goes for any camera company, any camera system. You have to find your lens. When Fuji came out with their 33 and I put that on the X Pro 3, I was blown away by the difference. Not only focus speed and quality and build and weather sealing, but the resolution was there. And that's when I knew back then they were coming out with a higher megapixel camera because, logic, and, if you're putting out this kind of lens with this kind of resolution, you're going to support it with the back end with a camera. So, and Fuji uses those new lenses, the 33, the 23, but oh my God, they're incredible. Anyway, so today's shoot, again, getting back to the whole subject at hand here, is the pants. We want to make them look moderately sexy for men to go, I want those pants. And 3 speed lights is all I'm going to use in the studio today. I have the A10s, but I like the A2 with that click softbox and the grid. It's manageable, it's easy. I'm going to see what I can do with it. And the 2 A1s with the grids, I think they'll work great. So anyway, enjoy the shoot. Hope the photos come out good. If you have any questions, leave them below. So the first thing I'm going to do is swap out the B10s and the larger 3-foot Octa with the small A2 and the click softbox, which I know sounds crazy for a studio shoot like this, but I do like the control that I have with that, and I do not have a grid for the 3-foot. If I did have a grid for the 3-foot, I would probably be using it. Because it is an excellent softbox, and the A10 or the B10s are fantastic. But 90% of the time, because we're working in such a confined area, the smaller lights work just fine. I have to swap out a battery. Anyway, and it makes it a lot more manageable as well. Now, these big boom arms, you don't need the big boom arms. They have the little, I think I have one around here somewhere. They have the little metal ones, extension arms that will work just fine much of the time. And actually I have to switch this around here. So another thing while I'm doing this, I'm just going to talk randomly while I'm doing this. So I'm connecting this, and I usually connect this and then put this on here, which I'm going to leave like this. You always have to worry about this thing falling or hitting a model or whatever. And you can cord this and connect this so it doesn't, and which I will do. I'll do a safety cord to this to make sure it's fine. But yeah, you don't need a giant boom arm like this. You can use the smaller metal arms. I will show you if I have one here. But they work just as well. Obviously not with a bigger, heavier light or modifier, but with a small light or modifier, they work great. Less expensive, and I don't have one here. I think I have it in my car. But, I swear by boom arms because, I want this centered over the model, and I want it over her head. Now, you can use it directly on a light stand and then just shoot around it, but then that limits you so much. With this, it doesn't limit you. You have plenty of room to move around, and control where the light's going and still have a shoot, you can shoot under it. But shooting like around the pole or next to the pole limits your distance you can step away. So that's why I recommend boom arms so much. But you know, using speed lights and having to buy a boom arm, you know, it saves you a lot of money on the speed lights, and the boom arm is going to give you that control that you want. So just a recommendation. So, you know, that's it for that. And depending on the model type, of course, and the look that you want, that will determine how high you're going to put it up. The next thing is the background. I'm going to be using a darker background this time. It's fall, so I figured, you know, give it a fall look. And the color of the pants, I think, will look the color of the pants will look good against this background, I'm hoping. I don't have to put it out too far because I believe I'm going to have her somewhat close to the background so that one speed light with the grid on it can take care of a little bit of the background if I want to, so I can have some fall off on that. Which was funny. One of the comments I got on the one video I did with product, I used this background. I used a little spotlight on it, and he said, you know, the photos are horrible. This is 80s lighting. The client loved it and they paid me, so you know, the real critic that matters is the only one I listen to. But that's the other thing. There are so many opinions on photographs and you know, these critiques, which, you know, I know critiques help. Jesus, I'm not even in this video half the time. I know critiques help a lot of people, and I have nothing against them, but don't even take them with a grain of salt. Like, your end client is the only one that you should be listening to for a critique. They're the ones that matter. They're the ones that are paying you. So, you know, if you really want to critique, ask your clients how you did. The rest of it's noise. So the next question here is, what is going to do me better for the pants on this darker background? You know, because I want to light up the pants. With this light coming down, it's not going to fall down far enough to light up the pants correctly. So I'm going to use the A1s to just come in from each side and light the pants. And, you know, the only question I have is, you know, will the grid work better or barn doors? And that's just trial and error. Now, one thing that's overlooked a lot inside of a Speedlight kit, and I believe even the Godox V1s come with these. Sorry, I keep going out of frame here. But for Profoto, they come in this nice little bag, and for $1,000, they should come with a person to put them on for you. But these here, the bounce card, have black on the other side, and the black is extremely useful if you actually use it. I actually use these at events as well to stop light going forward when I want to, because if I'm bouncing them off a wall. But putting a grid on here and this light, and this bounce card, now I can control the light from spilling on the background or anywhere else when I don't want it. Or if it's spilling on the floor, I can turn it like this on the floor and not have it spill everywhere. So it's a nice little accessory that everybody forgets to use. It's a lot more handy than you would think, because everybody thinks of it as just a white card or a white bounce card, when in fact it's spectacular for a whole bunch of uses. So if I'm shooting and I block it from the background because I don't want it to spill in the background, I mean, yes, the grid's going to help but this will help a lot more, and it'll give me more flexibility, because if I need to light a little bit more of the back of her pants, it still won't hit the background. So that's my job there. And like I said, I hope it works as the way I expect it to. Now, the other part is, I won't have to use a grid. I can use the zoom if the grid is too much, or go to the barn doors. But I'm thinking the grid may give me enough coverage. And if it's too much of a spot on the legs, I can pull it back, take it off, switch to barn doors, whatever. But we'll see how that goes while we're shooting. And like I said before, this is definitely trial and error. Because on paper, this stuff all sounds fantastic and like it should work like nothing, but when you get it in studio and you have different factors going on and the distance to the background and all that kind of stuff, and it's a smaller studio, so I don't have much playroom here. I can only go so far with these back with a grid on them, whether it's a 20-degree grid or a 10-degree grid. And remember, like all these round head speedlights come with grids where you can buy them. They're inexpensive, and unless you're on Profoto, then they're, yeah. Anyway, but this should all work as planned. And minor adjustments here and there will give me my final product, I'm hoping. And the only thing I'm going to add into this is the V-flats, the black V-flats. Do you need them? No. But I do want to absorb more of the light on either side and just control every aspect of that light. So, again, I will need to move them back and forth, but play with them and see what happens. And, I'm telling you this because, literally with 3 speedlights, and it doesn't have to be Profoto, it could be anything. It could be the $89 cheapos off of Amazon. With a remote, you can create this kind of stuff in a very small space. I will be literally using a 12-foot by 10-foot or 12-foot by 12-foot space. And, if you have a garage or a basement, this isn't going up too high. It's normal ceiling height right now. And again, you can flip this around so you can have it even lower and the light be up higher. But you can do this at home in a home studio. You don't need a big, expensive, well, mine's not big, but it has tall ceilings. But you don't need an expensive studio to do this stuff. You just need to play and learn how to use your lights, and you'll get it. But hopefully this is going to work out the way it should. I need new V-flats desperately. These things are falling apart. I have them double taped and triple taped. And in their defense, I did take them apart one time. Don't ask why. It was something stupid. Anyway, so after I set these up, I'll be able to do a quick test of the lighting with the pants to see how the colors are. I apologize if this is noisy, but this is just going to absorb some of the light and help me control it just a little bit. I'll probably end up closing the shade so I don't have any natural light at all. Not that I don't think, I probably won't even need to because of my aperture and ISO, but in case I do, I have that option. Anyway, so I'm going to set the speed lights at, in between 3 and 4 to start. And we're going to see what we have with these pants and how we're lighting them. And we'll do one without flash and with flash to see if it's all going to work out. So without flash, I'm dark, I'm good. There's no issues whatsoever. With flash, I'm getting a look, but I don't know if it's the look I want. So that's what we have to work on to even out the lights. So I think I need more light on the pants. I'm going to go to half power, which is 5 on these. Again, with your speed lights, they'll differ from the Profoto ones. They all do the same thing. Wow, this is a long video. I apologize. Anyway, this is what the model came in on. This is what she came in wearing, so I figured I'm going to get a quick shot, test shot, to see how it is. And then I can put her in, the pants and the shirt that I want to get shot. But this is a great, test for the lights. Whatever they walk in on, I usually shoot them. It loosens them up a little bit because they don't have to change and be in the dressing room and get nervous about it. I can make little adjustments while they're in their, walk-in clothes. And then, by that time, they're loosened up a little bit, relaxed, and we're ready to shoot. So I always, every time they walk in, no matter what they're wearing, I just tell them, hey, let's get a couple shots so I can adjust the lights and so forth, and then we can, get right into the shoot. And it helps. It does relax them, and we get what we want. The photos I'm showing you are right out of camera. 90% of them, 10% of them are slightly touched up. She had a little bit of blemishes on her face, so I did the blemishes, but everything else is like really right out of camera. So we put her in the pants and, started the shoot. We had the pants clipped in the back, obviously, because, they're men's pants and they're size 34, but, she's tiny. But it looks good, and she's relaxed. I put the shirt on her. It's a men's shirt. It's from the same store, so I figured I'm going to kill two birds with one stone and get a shirt advertised for them and the pants. And these pants, I can't remember the name of them, but they're $800 and some dollars. They will not be on my body anytime soon. But the key here is to light those pants. Have her lit not as prominently. You know what I mean? You want to show that she looks great in them, even though they're for a band and you're trying to sell to men. You want to highlight the pants, and I wanted this subdued. I didn't want to show it as a woman wearing a man's pants. I just I if that makes sense. I wanted to accent the pants more than her, but she kind of she pulls out. So in post-processing, I'm going to take down her just a little bit and leave the pants as the key. But like I said, these are out of camera, so you're getting exactly what there is. And she did a great job, obviously. And the pants, they look cool on her. The little thing on the side there, which is just the inside of the pants, the white. It'll be taken out in post, but it's a good start. And the Speedlights did great. So this last one is she's a brand ambassador for a clothing line and asked if I would do a quick shoot for that. And we literally did 5 or 6 shots so she can post something on her site for the brand. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sorry it was so long, but if you have any questions, leave them below. And thanks for watching as always.